let's see, I don't know how to ask this really, but during the 7 months that you were split up, are you afraid that in a year from now you're going to find out that there's another stepkid?
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind.
You're listening to the Nacho Kids Podcast, where we discuss all things step-family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
David, did you have a good Christmas?
I sure did. Did you get everything you wanted?
I did.
Did you get everything that you wanted from me that you bought?
I did. Y'all, I have to tell you, there's this pair of boots that I saw probably 2 years ago, and I loved them, but I just could not pay that much for a pair of boots. I just couldn't do it. And every once in a while, I'd see they had a sale, and of course, they were never on sale, or if they were, it was still too much. You know, it's one of those, I'm not paying that much for that muffler.
People don't know what you mean if they have never seen that commercial.
Oh, it's a, Midas commercial?
Meineke.
See, okay, whatever. Anyway, as I was shopping for everybody else, I saw that there was a 30% off coupon for the place that was selling those boots.
And so I got them for you, unbeknownst to me.
So I got them. I was like, you know what? I don't need to die to get these boots. I'm going to get them.
And you did.
And I did. And I showed David a couple weeks before Christmas what he got me.
And y'all, she was as excited as if she didn't know what she was getting. Like she opens the box up like doing a dance.
Because you don't understand. I mean, I honestly thought that I would never get these boots. My joke was that when I get to heaven, I was going to have those boots and a 69 Camaro.
Well, you put those boots in a pretty big category.
I love them. You saw them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're nice.
But then when I ordered them, I had the conundrum of whether to get black or stone. So I asked a friend of mine. I sent her pictures of them. I was like, which one? Because she's like the fashionista. And she said the first one. And I was like, okay, that's the black ones. I like those. That's the ones I've been looking at. Because the back of them's got like this burgundy suede on it. They're very, very pretty. And then after I order them, I'm like, wait a minute. What if she got those pictures in the wrong order? So I asked her, and she did. She got the stone colored ones first. I'm like, crap, I should have ordered the stone color ones. So then I'm sitting here debating, well, should I order the stone color ones just in case and then send back the black ones? And then I'm like, stop, Lori, stop. This is crazy. And then I told myself, next year, you can get the stone ones.
Oh, Lord. Well, at least you have a whole year to look for a deal on them. I can't believe they're still available that many years later.
Dude, do you know how long I've been watching those boots?
You said a couple of years.
Yeah, at least a couple of years. It may have even been longer than that.
It just shocks me that they still have them.
Dude, these boots, oh, they are kicking.
So
I'll put a picture on the show notes.
Are you going to wear them to the Austin thing in a couple of weeks?
Well, yeah. Well, I've got those and then my really fancy cowboy boots. Because these aren't cowboy boots.
Okay.
These are just boots.
They're not...
They don't have the pointed toe.
Pointed toe. Okay, so you have to have a pointed toe. So what kind of boots are they then?
They are kick butt boots.
Are they stripper boots?
David, don't make me edit all this stuff out. They are not stripper boots.
Okay.
They are awesome, y'all. I'm so excited. I can't wait to wear them. Oh, anyway, so see, what we do at Christmas is I buy what I want, and then I wrap it up, and David gives it to me, and it's pretty awesome.
It's funny because some people are like, it's not a gift then if you're buying it for yourself. And I'm like, no, I think it is.
And like I told him, my split personality buys it. So I'm giving it to myself. It's a gift.
No, look, I don't really see the difference between somebody telling you what they want and then you buying it and then them just buying what they want and saying, here, this is what you're giving me. It's the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm just so glad I got the boots. I don't care how I obtained them.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt in the process except for a cow or two.
Yeah, I went light this year. Like I just didn't want anything, really.
Yeah, but I think you like what I got you.
I do. But I don't know. I wonder if anybody else ever has that where it's just like, I'm good. I don't really want anything. I don't need anything.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of like that, but then I see like a necklace that I like, and it's on sale for 80% off. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like I have to have it or that I wanted it before I saw it. But, when it's normally $100 and it's $20, I'm like, shoot, yeah, I'm getting that bad boy.
Well, I think that, I don't know if this is most people or just you and I, but I mean, when we typically, if there's something that we want, then, throughout the year, we'll watch it or we'll try to catch it on a sale or whatever, but we tend to buy it when we want it for the most part.
Yeah. David and I are quite frugal, for those of you that don't know. I don't think we really pay full price for anything.
No, we don't. And the things we look at and go, oh, well, if I want it, I'll buy it. They're not expensive stuff. I mean, we're talking...
Except for my boots.
Yeah, most people would be like, why are you even thinking about that?
I know. People are going to look at those boots and be like, those were not that expensive where you should have been acting like that.
But that's just, it's just the way we are. We are frugal and we live, what would you call it? A frugal lifestyle, I guess. So we buy things. We just make sure that when we buy things, we buy stuff that will last.
Right.
And so when I say frugal, I don't necessarily mean we buy cheap. We may buy something that's expensive, but it's not expensive for the sake of being expensive. It's expensive because we know that it's going to last.
Right. And what's so funny, though, is I can go in a store and automatically I'm drawn to whatever is the most expensive thing in that store.
Oh, yes. That is definitely true.
It might as well have a flashing light that says, Lori, look here. Look here, Lori.
Yeah. We were picking out flooring a few years ago. Every time she'd pick out a flooring, it didn't matter what store she went to or what website she went to, it was always the most expensive flooring that they had.
And y'all, I'm not frou-frou. I'm not. But I'm just drawn to quality stuff. Like David.
Oh.
Yeah, you might want to record this for later. Play it at my funeral.
Yeah, don't cut that part out.
But no, seriously, my mom... like for furniture, my mom worked in a furniture store for years, so I know way too much about furniture, and I don't buy crap furniture. I never have.
Well, the amazing thing a lot of times is how the difference in price between what's not good and what's good is not a lot of times that big of a gap. Mm-hmm. And so if people would just, investigate a little bit more and spend a little bit more money, then they would actually be saving money in the long run, because they don't have to replace it as soon and it lasts a lot longer and all these things. So,
well, that's like my couch. Before I had Jackson, I had a car that I loved, but before that car, I had a couch. This couch was like my baby. I know, laugh at me all you want, just laugh. But it is a buckskin chocolate colored couch.
Yeah, and you've had it for what, 20 years?
That's what I was getting ready to say. I've had it, golly, over 20 years.
Yeah.
And you can't tell by looking at it.
No, but that's the difference between buying quality.
Right.
So I like to tell people I don't make enough money to buy cheap.
There you go.
And once you sit back and think about it, like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay, I get it now. So yeah.
Because we don't want to have to replace it next year.
Right. And that's, people all the time, they're like, I'm just going to buy this because it's cheap. And then you have to buy 2, 3, 4 times over what somebody that spends money on quality has to buy.
Speaking of, I struggle with this. I've been trying to find a laminator. So I've been on Amazon. And is there anything that doesn't have negative reviews? Because I'll look at something and it's got, 5,000 reviews, 80% of them are good, 15% of them are bad. And it just makes me go, well, I don't want to be that 15%.
That's kind of my line in the sand is 80%. If between the 4 and the 5-star, if those two together equal 80% or better, then I feel comfortable with it.
See, I don't like to go over 10% on the bottom.
Because I just feel like, depending on what it is, but I feel like a lot of things, especially when you get into electronics and computers and stuff, I feel like that the majority of people don't know what they're buying anyway. And so they're complaining about something because they made an improper purchase or they don't know how to use something they bought.
But on Amazon, you can find a negative review on Bounty paper towels.
Yeah, because you know what? I was trying to get that spill up and it pushed right off the top of the counter, and it doesn't do that on the commercial.
Right. That's right. I was missing a sheet. I counted all my sheets. There was only 99 and not 100 per roll.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So I think at this point I've talked myself out of buying a laminating machine and I'm just going to go to the UPS store and see how much they'll charge me.
Why do you need a laminating machine?
I can't tell you. It's a secret right now.
But why do you need something? Do you need
laminated? That's why.
Yeah, but to buy a machine, you need something laminated a lot, or you need thing laminated and you go buy a machine because you need one thing laminated?
No, I don't need just one thing laminated. You can't make fake
driver's license. I've told you before, you can't do that.
I know.
You used to do that back in the day, I'm sure.
No, I can't talk about this.
We used to make fake.
We have to change the subject, David. David.
It wasn't driver's license. We do fake college IDs.
Oh, Lord.
Get into the football
jail.
game.
And y'all know how boring this is going to be without him. But anyway, my point is I'm going to the UPS store, or I'm going to call them and I'm going to say, how much do you charge to laminate one sheet? And then when they give me that, I'm going to figure out how many of these things that I need to laminate I can fit on one sheet to see how many pages I need, and then see if the cost of buying one outweighs the cost of having UPS do it.
You done went crazy already.
No, I don't. This is how David and I both do things. Don't act like I'm the crazy one here. You do the same thing.
Well, what about the lamination that doesn't require the lamination machine?
That might be an option.
Have you tried one?
Have you gave me one?
I didn't know I was in the equation.
Do you have one?
No, I don't have one. Order
some. Well, then how am I
some.
supposed to try some?
Order them.
They might cost as much as the darn machine.
It does not. It's just sticky laminate stuff, and you put it in there, and it's just like, I don't know, tape or adhesive or whatever, but you just push it over it.
I could just tape my stuff.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Hey, that might be an option.
Just buy the laminate stuff that doesn't require the machine and try it.
Okay, he's making me mad. So this is our last podcast.
Yeah, we're done.
Of 2019.
Oh, I thought we were done, period.
No such luck, David. This is our last podcast of 2019. We have not been a full year of podcast yet.
Nope.
June, July, something. So we figured that we would, this year, I've got different plans for next year already, but for this year, we are going to end on a crazy note.
Okay.
With a crazy stepmom. And no, I did not give her that name. She gave herself that name.
Crazy Stepmom?
Yes.
I know a few of those.
I really don't want to tell you anything about this, except for do not let your children listen.
So it's that crazy?
It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
And I apologize for those that your children do enjoy listening to the podcast, but there are some that we've had that, are just not appropriate for kids, or they're adult in nature. And, this is one of them. Mm. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell y'all nothing about this chick, except for she's crazy.
She's crazy. All of them are.
As David says, all women are crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's just a matter.
And as Lori says, it's because men make us that way.
No, it's just what level of crazy can you put up with? That's all men have to deal with.
Did you see that? I think it's like a YouTube video or something about the level of crazy.
Oh, yeah, the charting.
I think we've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, I really appreciate the stepmom talking to us, because most people in her situation would not share this information at all.
Okay.
So that's it, folks. Get to listening.
All right. Oh, I do want to remind everybody.
Okay.
We haven't had a really push for reviews in a while, and so they've slacked off. So I do want to remind everybody to go leave a review, and it does help because other people read the reviews, and then it makes them want to listen. And a lot of you find this very helpful, and so we want to help as many people as we can with the podcast. So go out there and leave some reviews. As a matter of fact, we also had a contest going. Remember?
It's still going.
I think what we need to do is go ahead and, since it's the end of the year, maybe next episode, we'll go ahead and just draw a name off what we have.
Okay.
So we had a contest going where we were going to do like 1,000, I think it wasn't 1,000 reviews. And of course, we both know we weren't going to get 1,000 reviews that quickly, but we did want to push it as hard as we could. And, why not get 1,000? Why stop it?
Probably shouldn't have said that, because we don't have that many, and it makes me sad.
No, it didn't make me sad, because when I looked at it, honestly, we talked about it before. We're like, we're going to try to get, 50 reviews or 100 reviews or whatever. And I was like, why not just 10X it and just go to 1,000?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I thought we were going to get 1,000. It was just, why stop at 1,000?
Well, I think it was 3 people that we picked. I'll have to go back and look, but I think it's 3 people. One gets a 3-month, one gets a 6-month, and one gets a full year.
Okay.
I think that's right. So y'all better hurry up and leave a review. You only got like a week.
Mm-hmm. All right. So here's what we'll do, because we got to give time for this to get out there, this episode to publish and then tally it and all that kind of stuff. So here's what I'm going to do. After the first of the year, and this episode here goes live.
This episode will go live
the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after the 27th, we're going to give everybody a couple days or so toward the end of the year to get your reviews in. And then we're going to draw names off of what we got, and we will pick winners from that group.
Why don't we announce the winner at the end of January, our last episode in January?
Okay. That works. So if you want to be in the Academy, this is your opportunity.
Yep. Won't cost you a dime. Just leave a review.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the last episode in January falls on a Friday. So,
okay. Sounds
good.
Good.
It would be the last episode because we only do them on Fridays, but I think the 31st is on a Friday is what I'm trying to say.
All right.
That way people have a little bit of time in case they don't listen to this immediately when it's released.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's what we'll do. So the last episode in January is when we're going to pick the 3 winners.
Right. So get your review in now. And to do that, you go to www.nachokids.com/review.
Yep. So you do it, your spouse do it, your stepkids do it. You increase your chances of winning. So, all right. You about ready?
I'm ready.
Right,
I'm ready.
I'm ready to listen to the Crazy Stepmom.
We're going out with a bang, y'all.
Yep. So here is our last ad for the Nacho Kids Academy for this year.
There is a way to save your sanity and your relationship, and it's called the Nacho Kids Academy. In the Nacho Kids Academy, you will learn the skills and knowledge to properly nacho, techniques to handle step-family challenges, ways to improve your communication, and much, much more. Visit NachoKidsAcademy.com and sign up today to join other step-parents who are seeing the life-changing benefits of nachoing. Again, that's NachoKidsAcademy.com.
Today, we have the Crazy Stepmom talking to us. Hey, Crazy Stepmom, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing good. So tell us a little bit about your blended situation.
Okay. I have a on and off 16-year relationship with my fiance. We have a 8-year-old stepdaughter. I have a almost 4-year-old son, an ours baby, and then another 3-year-old ours baby, and then a 3-year-old possible stepchild.
Okay, so just so we understand, you've been together on and off 16 years. You've been blending for about 8 years, and you have a stepdaughter that is 8.
Mm-hmm.
Was she the result of your significant other cheating?
Yes.
And also the possible 3-year-old stepdaughter, is that correct?
Yes.
Is also possibly the result, well, if she is his, she's the result of cheating as well.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us how you handled this. How did you overcome, first of all, the cheating? I know that's hard when there's not a stepchild involved,
Mm-hmm.
but you are faced with seeing the result of his infidelity
Mm-hmm.
through this child. So help us to understand how you got over that, things that you did to not resent the child and things like that, because I know that you are not the only one that is in this situation.
To be quite honest, I mean, we've done counseling. We've yelled and screamed at each other multiple nights. It's not something that you just get over. And I think that's because you do have to actually look at the child, and I look at her quite frequently. We have 50-50 split custody. So, and the fact that he pays child support also, there's resentment in that aspect, not towards the child per se, but towards the whole situation in general. It's just not, I still struggle with it. It doesn't bother me as much as it did 8 years ago. I kind of just came to terms that he made a mistake, and he really did. The situation was not, I guess what had happened was he got into some trouble 8 years ago. Well, 9.5 years ago, and that resulted to him going to prison. And when he was released from prison, his quote unquote friend threw him a welcome home party at a club. Well, I could not attend this party because I was in college and I was 8 hours deep in algebra homework. So I sat home trusting, that I just spent a year and a half of my life sending you letters, coming to see you, sending you money, all this stuff while you were in jail, that you would come home and be faithful. Well, he wasn't. And him and 3 of his friends ended up having sex with this girl in the bathroom of the club. And
Okay.
now, mind you, she had a boyfriend. So her whole pregnancy, she's telling everyone. I didn't even know until after the child was born and we received child support paperwork in the mail that this even had to happen. So I was really blown away because I didn't have kids at the time. I was still, in college trying to do better. We had talked about kids. We had planned kids. Just wasn't the time. So when I got that letter, it was very devastating.
To say the least, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. Did all 3 of the guys get a letter?
No, not as far as I know. It was just him. The girl, her boyfriend actually was with her throughout the whole pregnancy and labor and delivery. And labor and delivery, when the child was born, the boyfriend was like, that's obviously not mine. And the other men were of a different color of said child. So when the child came out white, it was obvious who the father was.
Right.
Now, when she sent this letter out, the child was already 3 months old.
Okay.
So we got the letter. He went and he submitted the DNA. And it took about 6 weeks. Then it came back. He was the father, and he was now on child support for $400 a month with 3 months of back pay, which was also devastating because at the time I was the only one working. Like, okay, now I have to pay child support for kids that I didn't ask for. So a lot of resentment came then. And then she was one of those parents that were, you can't see the baby unless you're giving me child support. And it was madness. Like, my life was madness for the first 5 years of this child's life before I finally said, enough. Sell whatever you have you can sell, which at the time was a sports bike. Me and his mom both had to tag team him for a very long time to try to get him to go to a lawyer and end her power trip and her manipulation. It was getting ridiculous. She was teaching her child how to manipulate, where she would send her to our house only when it was convenient for her. Like, if she wanted to go out and party for the weekend, we were doing the not partying thing. So we were automatically number one babysitter, I guess. So she would go out and leave the child with us for the weekend, and she would tell her child, cry at bedtime so that daddy has to sleep with you and not stepmom.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And yeah, and that aspect of it started when she was 3, and that went on for 2 years.
I don't really understand that because it's not like she was in a relationship with him. She shouldn't have that resentment toward you.
She did, because she didn't think that her boyfriend was going to leave her for the child not being his. She thought that he would have, stayed. And the fact that he didn't, she tried to chase him around to get him to be in a relationship with her. And for about 2 months, there was some more infidelity there, where he was, trying to appease her and keep peace, and would go over there, and it would always turn into more than what it was supposed to, which caused more of a void between us. So I kind of just pushed myself away from the situation, and I let it go for a little bit. And I did my own thing because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't. It really got to be too much that I was stuck in this spider web of craziness and bullcrap when I had everything going for myself, and I couldn't handle it anymore. And then he groveled his way back, and that was that. And and that was when I told him, look, I'm putting my foot down. There's no more of this. You need to get a lawyer. You need to get some kind of custody agreement. And you need to figure out this child support situation. And that was just that. And he did. There was some resistance at first, and honestly, I feel like he has resentment towards his own child. I know to hear it out loud sounds messed up, but that's just like
Honestly, it doesn't sound messed up to me. It sounds like you, he's faced with the result of his bad decision making for the rest of his life now. It's not that he just cheated. A child came out of that. And
Right.
like you said, there's financial implications. It's always in your face. It's a reminder to you and to him. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think that he would also have some issues with it. And then, of course, having to deal with the bio mom, and she's acting crazy.
Yeah, she was a complete nutcase, and she was also a drug addict. So there's that, and we've battled the whole DCF thing because of her. And I know that for my fiance, that wasn't how he envisioned having a child. Like, we always talked about, what it would be like with our first pregnancy and our first baby. And I feel like when that time actually came, she was so jealous. She did everything she could to ruin it. Bio mom and stepdaughter. It was chaos constantly, and the chaos always revolved around them. And it definitely wears on you, especially when you're pregnant. And because of, all of our other bills and the child support, now I'm not in school anymore. So I'm working more, and I'm working with him, and we're working to grow his company. Now, I live in a very hot state, about 95% of the year. So he owns a tree service. So working the tree service and being 8 months pregnant in the heat and then coming home and dealing with, crazy people and someone else's child that just is unruly and doesn't listen and has all these horrible budding characteristics from mom, it wears on you mentally. And there's really no way around that at all. Like, you just have to, it's not for weak people. I will say that. Like, it's not for weak-minded people. And I wouldn't consider myself a weak-minded person, and I still needed a counselor to try to help the situation. Like, I was just stuck all the way around. I didn't know what to do. Like, it was to the point, like, I didn't even want to be with my fiance anymore. Like, I was willing to walk away from him and our whole situation just to not have to deal with that anymore. And that feeling in itself sucks, because it's like, okay, now we're bringing a child into this world, which is everything that we planned and everything that we wanted. And the fact that he was a boy, you know how men are with getting their first son and carrying on the name. And
yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it wasn't what we had envisioned at all.
Yeah, of course not. Well, how are things now with stepdaughter 8 and her mom? Have things calmed down? Do you just basically only deal with her, or does he only deal with her when it's necessary? Are you pretty much removed from dealing with her?
Okay, so from the time the custody order agreement went into effect at the time that he walked out on us 8 months ago, I was the one dealing with her because they couldn't speak to each other. Now, I know this girl. I grew up with her. She was a childhood friend. So it was, I would assume that was why she held some kind of resentment towards me. She's just crazy like that. But I was the one dealing with her. Like, all conversation went through me. And then I got to the point, like, I just couldn't let it go. And it wasn't even that scenario of cheating. It was the possible that caused this void in our relationship, where it made him so unhappy that he walked out on his family, and he was gone for 7 months, and we were apart for 7 months. So when I told you we were moving, we're moving into a place together again. So we're just now getting back together. But the whole time he was gone, like, I didn't have to deal with her. My life was so peaceful. Like, I still saw my stepdaughter, but not having to deal with her mom or talk to her or deal with her craziness, like, my life was beyond peaceful. So I've already told him, since, now we're back together, I never want to have to deal with her again. Like, I think that you guys are both older than me, so you need to find some kind of maturity level to deal with the consequences of your crappy decisions on both ends. And I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Like, I Nacho and the group has actually helped me a lot when it's come to nachoing, he's not happy at all that I do it. He's not a fan, but it's what I needed to do for my sanity, because I'm stuck in the middle, because my children have certain rules and certain expectations. And when it comes to her, she just comes into my house and causes chaos because she doesn't have those rules and expectations at her mom. So instead of me constantly battling him to, hey, discipline your child, or hey, me doing it, it got to the point, I'm like, you know what? If you don't care, I don't care. I bow out at this point. It's not worth the battle. But I'm still there for her. I've known this child since she was born, so I'm still, an active role in her life, just not the same as I was when I wasn't naturally, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't deal with the discipline anymore. I don't deal with repercussions of actions. I leave that solely up to Dad. And if Dad doesn't do anything about it, you guys are going to have to deal with the consequences of those actions also when she's older and really out of control. So kind of, I don't know, it just wasn't worth my sanity anymore. For us to be together, I had to let that go, because we literally spent day in and day out fighting about this child. And this is where we got to the conclusion that there was some form of resentment on both ends. So that was where we came to the conclusion that there was resentment on both ends. Because he swore up and down, you just hate my kid, and no, I don't. I don't like the way that you're raising her, and I don't agree with the things that you allow, but I don't resent the child. I'm starting to resent you. It's not her fault. A kid's gonna do whatever you let a kid get away with, no matter what. I see that in my sons. When we were split up for those 7 months, my kids would be perfect little angels at my house with me. Go to bed on time, eat all their dinner, not run around like psychopaths. And then, they would come back from Dad's and they are just a completely different animal. And then they're telling me, well, I do this at Daddy, I do that at Daddy. I'm like, you're not at Daddy. You will get in trouble here. And that also affected our children significantly. So that was where this decision came from, to try one more time, but try one more time differently. You really have to be dedicated to the differently part, because if you're not, you're just going to fall back into the same things that were making you miserable before. I won't argue about the same things I used to. And the fact that, this possible child is so new and also happens to be my son's age, there's a lot of hate between us for that I kind of just shove under the rug and tiptoe around. But every so often it'll come up and I'll have a bad day and I'll just lash out at him. And his way of looking at it is, this child's not in our life, and that was almost 4 years ago. He's kind of get over it already, but it's it's deeper than just getting over it. There is no just getting over it. You don't ever, you might. I just have not gotten to that point yet where I'm over it. It's tolerable. I don't let it eat me inside like I used to, because before it was, what's wrong with me? Why are you doing this to me? Why did this happen? Because the second time was a lot different than the first. And
yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So you made it through 5 years of dealing with the infidelity and stepdaughter 8 being in the picture, and then all of a sudden I don't know, were you pregnant? Or did you just find out about the possible 3-year-old?
This girl is his ex-girlfriend. It was the one that he was with during one of our breaks. They were together a year. I don't know. They grew up together. So she's kind of always been in his life. And when we were together, when we were younger, I didn't have an issue with it because we were kind of all friends. And then he's actually cheated on me with her multiple times throughout the course of our relationship. That's kind of his, not condoning, but that's his go-to and his comfortability whenever we're not okay. Because when we've gone to counseling, the counselors diagnosed him as a textbook narcissist, and that's not something that there's a cure for. So it's just something that I have to show understanding towards. I have had to dedicate myself to really educating about ultimately the disease, that he battles. And that's just how he's wired. That's what he's always done. It's just that. And I know a lot of people are going to listen and be like, she's so stupid. I'm like, yeah, I might be, but I grew up that when you love people, you don't just easily give up on them. And I kind of feel like that's what's missing in the world, because everyone's so quick to leave and walk away and start over. And it's just not me. Like, I've invested so much time and energy and pain and tears into this relationship and into this man. It's like, I'm not, if he's willing to fight and try, then I'm willing to fight and try. And that's just what we do in our blend. So yes, this girl was next, and I was pregnant with my first son, and I went to another state to say my goodbyes to my brother. And while I was in this state, he cheated with her, and it resulted in a pregnancy. It wasn't until my son was 6 months old that she came to him and asked him for DNA, supposedly not because she didn't want to do anything with the information. She didn't want him involved in the child's life at all. She just wanted to know, like, I guess the child was born with issues. It was born early, and she had a very complicated pregnancy. So I guess she just wanted to know for herself, in case anything were to ever happen with said child, to not go off of the man that signed the birth certificate, medical history.
Right.
And from what I understand and what I know, he never did it. He never gave her the DNA. So it's really just up in the air. He doesn't claim this child. And when I bring it up, he gets highly upset. So, yeah.
And so she hasn't contacted him anymore, trying to get him to take a paternity test or pay child support or anything like that. She just has kind of left him alone after that, as far as you know?
Since we've been split up, they've met up with each other. Like, my kids met her and her kid, and that ultimately traumatized both of my children, because he was only out of my house for 1 week when this happened. And they had complete meltdown when I told them that they had to go back to daddy's house, and they did not want to go back to daddy's house because of this woman and her child. Like, my kids never wanted to see her again.
Well, I mean, how did he explain her to them? I mean, was it just like going to a friend's house? Because I don't see how that would traumatize them.
No. She came to his mom's house, which is where he was staying, and his mom has a swimming pool. So they kind of had like a quote play date, and she was introduced as a friend, because when they came home and they were telling me about the situation, they kept saying daddy's friend. And then I don't know if it was just my son getting the name wrong, or if they intentionally lied to my kid about what her kid's name was, because they came to me saying a completely different name.
Okay.
Now this girl's boyfriend actually had no idea that there was even a possibility he wasn't the father. So when all this went on, I called him and I told him everything. And that's just how that went. I felt like, if this woman is going to walk around making my relationship miserable, you don't get to go home and just be kiki, happy, la la with this man.
What was his response?
He was completely shocked. And obviously there was some hurt there. But he's fully aware of the situation between them. He just didn't think that him not being the father was an option. And he claims this child to the fullest. He signed the birth certificate. It has his last name. He has it every day. They live together. They parent together, the whole 9 yards. So the world definitely got dropped on his head, but he knew. And he's still, it's still his child. He's been there for almost 4 years now.
Right. And I mean, if he went through the whole pregnancy with her, then he had bonded with this child before the child was even born.
Oh, yeah. And he says that she has some kind of genetic disorder that his son from a previous relationship has. So he said that he wasn't going to pursue any form of DNA testing because that was his kid regardless. So he wasn't going to do that.
Kind of kudos to him, too.
Yeah.
For standing up and taking this kid in as his own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that was hard for him. I mean, y'all both I can't imagine. I just really cannot imagine.
It's been a spider web of pain. There's been a lot of it, and I don't know. I get, like, a lot of times, and this is why I don't necessarily talk about the situation to other people, because all I hear is, oh, you're stupid, or you should have left. I'm like, yeah, I know. I occasionally feel stupid. I occasionally feel regret for not leaving, but ultimately, I grew up without a father because of my parents' selfishness and the fact that they couldn't get their act together for the sake of the fact that they just had a child. I don't want that for my kids, because instead of my dad trying to fight for me, he left. He walked out, and that was it. I was 11 months old the last time I saw him. We could walk past each other in the street, and I wouldn't even know it was him, and he wouldn't even know I was me. And from what my brother says, he's now dying of cancer and wants to find me. That's a whole other podcast in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want that for my children. I don't want them to have to wonder, like when I was in school, I was so jealous of all the kids, like all the little girls that were daddy's girls. And they had their mom and dad every day, and then there was me. Like, I was even jealous of the ones that had, like, the step family situation, like, oh, I go to my dad's this summer. Like, yeah, I don't go anywhere. So I don't want that pain for them, because I know a lot of people don't feel like it would affect a child so tremendously, but it has.
Well, I don't think you are stupid by any means. I think that everybody's situation is different, and none of us can say what we would do in that situation. And you not having your dad definitely explains why you are more willing to put forth more effort to make this work,
right?
Especially since you've had kids. Now, before you had kids, that wasn't the basis for why you were trying to make it work. It was just because you love this guy.
Yeah. I mean, there was a separation period in there after the first time I found out that he had cheated with his ex. There was a separation period there. But we ended up finding our way back to each other, as we always do. So to me, I feel like we're meant to make this work. There's no other reason why, after all these years and after all this time, like, no matter what happens in both of our lives, we seem to just gravitate. Like, he's the one that I can't go without. Like, I've dealt with breakups besides him, and it was nothing. It was, okay, this is what it is now. You're not in my life. Okay, cool. I have to adjust to that. With him, it's like there's no adjusting to that. It's just not, like, my spirit won't settle without him. Like, the 7 months he was gone, yeah, he was gone, but he wasn't gone, if that makes sense. Like, we were still actively doing things with our children together, or, you know, we saw each other every day. I was never that bitter baby mama that would be like, you can't see your kids because of what you're doing. No, like, come see your kids every day. I'm cool with that. And he would, on the days he didn't have them, he would come to my house and spend an hour or two with them. And on days I didn't have them, I would go and spend. So, like, my kids never went a day without seeing both.
Why did he leave 7 months ago or 8 months ago?
There was a lot of unhappiness based around the fact that I have a hard time letting go of him cheating with possible. I have a hard time with that, because that one has actually been consistent. That wasn't like a one night stand. That wasn't nothing. Like, this is someone that you used to have a relationship with. This is someone that you used to have feelings for. And the fact that that's his go-to, it really hit me in my own self-conscious, I guess, and my own insecurities. It made me feel very insecure, even though, you know, this person doesn't match up to me in life or anything else. It's just like, a why her of all people? Like, why continuously? So because of that, I was literally making him miserable, and he got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And yeah, so this was after multiple counseling attempts, and, you know, just we tried and he tried, but it was a lot of fighting. It was a lot of, you know, like, if you spent too long at the store, it's automatically like me and my crazy mind snapping to, he must be cheating, or, it just got to be too much for the both of us. And then on top of it, we opened up a restaurant together, and that caused major stress on him. And when he's stressed out, I feel it. Like, that gets taken out on me. He won't, if he's upset with another employee, instead of, bringing it up to said employee, he'll snap on me like it's my fault.
Right.
So there was just a lot of external components that were just driving us apart and making us totally miserable. And it wasn't a good environment for our children at that time. Like, they're at this point, like, we don't argue and fight in front of our kids, but we were to the point at that point where it didn't matter who was watching, where we were just going at it constantly. And, when I started to see that affecting my youngest, who is sensitive already, I knew, like, we had to do something different. And we got into a fight one night that involved the restaurant, and I told him if he was so miserable to leave, and he did.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: did let's see, I don't know how to ask this really, but during the 7 months that you were split up, are you afraid that in a year from now you're going to find out that there's another stepkid?
Yeah, those thoughts crossed my mind. I was assured, and I know this is gonna sound crazy to most, but I was assured that the one time he had sex with his ex, there was a condom. And I have confirmed this because at his mom's house, he has a nightstand. And when I opened it, there were two condoms in a box of 3. So, I mean, he could be lying, and that could be maybe like the umpteenth box he bought, but I'm just glad this time that he wore one. And I'm just going to take my blessings as they come, no matter how small they appear to other people. To me, that's major. That he actually, it clicked in his brain, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to protect myself, because the past, that has not been his thought.
So, and that was during the 7-month break.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still with her boyfriend, right?
Yep. And
okay.
he's fully aware. He was actually the one that reached out to me this time, because I guess there was something that his mom was giving away ended up at their house. So he reached out to me to let me know that there was contact again. And then naturally I confronted him about it, and he did not confirm nor deny, but then my children started talking about this girl and her kids, and then it registered who it was, and then I showed my son a picture, and I'm like, was this her? And he was like, yeah. And he was super freaked out about it. So I knew, but...
Yeah, well, and I'm not trying to plant anything in your head. I'm just asking questions, so please don't think I am.
Oh, no, you're not giving me any thoughts that have not already been there since. Like, this has been a process on whether or not I was going to take him back and we were going to move forward, because I know the battle I'm about to face, especially with this. Even though we were, quote, broken up, there were still nights he was laying in my bed, and there were still nights that, he's telling me how much he missed me and how much he loved me. So, like, even though we were technically split up, what he's done still hurts, because I wasn't able or willing to even try. Like, my girlfriends were like, nope, we're going out. We're dragging you out. You're getting out of this depressive funk that you're in. Like, I would not leave my house unless it was for work. I literally just like I tore our whole house apart. I went and bought all new furniture. Like, I tried to erase every memory of, like, this is where we raised our family for the past 4 years. So my friends are like, nope, you're not doing this. You're done. You had your little 3 days to wallow in your misery. Get up, get dressed. So I did, and I was miserable. I wasn't enjoying myself. It just, I wasn't able to. And the fact that I wasn't able to, I'm like, dang, you were? Like, how? If you really love me and care about me the way you say you do, like, how could you do those things? But he's wired differently, and it's not an excuse. It's understanding, because he does have, he was diagnosed as a textbook narcissist, and that's not something that you can just take a pill for.
Yeah, I've started reading a book on narcissism, and I forget the name of it. I don't have it in front of me. But I was reading it the other day because that word is thrown around a lot. You know it is. I know it is. And it said that only 0.5% to 1% of people are truly diagnosed as a narcissist. So you've done more research on this than I have. So I've got some questions because I feel like that in the past I had been in a relationship that somebody was a narcissist. Is the sex thing part of being a narcissist?
Not in all cases, because like the lady explained to me when she diagnosed him, we were in couples counseling at the time, and she brought it to his attention, and then she sent him off to a psychiatrist to actually that's not all he was diagnosed with, but that was the main concern. She just wanted to be sure, and she wanted a second opinion, but that is not present in all, like it doesn't make or break a diagnosis. There's literally like a list of this, and this, and you have to have so many off of this list to be diagnosed, and that's with anything. So a narcissist, like my narcissist, can be guilty of like the gaslighting and the ego trip, and yours could be like just the sex aspect and the ego trip, but that doesn't make him any more or less of a narcissist than mine. It just means that yours has different traits and there's different battles that they fight, because I know like it seems like they're just all well put together, but mine's not. Like he knows in his mind that he's not right. Like there's something wrong and he shouldn't be that way. His issue is he doesn't know how to retrain his brain, and I get it.
The book I was reading, it says, in order to be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, a person will need to meet 5 or more of the following criteria. And they list 8 things. And they are an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a belief that they are special and should only be associated with high-status individuals, a need for excessive compliments and admiration, an exaggerated sense of entitlement, takes advantage of or exploits other people, a lack of empathy, a belief that others are jealous of them and also struggle with jealousy themselves.
Definitely.
And arrogance on a regular basis.
See, mine has the last 6 to the fullest, but he does not with the first 2. And he's also, I call him a sexual deviant. I mean, it's not, he doesn't need it more than usual. He doesn't have any weird, like, things. So that aspect doesn't apply to him, but he does have a strong, like very strong in his personality, the last 6.
I do think that it's thrown around a lot that people are narcissistic, and a lot of times it's just when people are selfish.
Right. And that's a major part of it. And the lack of empathy, like you can have a lack of empathy from things you've gone through in your childhood that's made you that way. Like that doesn't make you a textbook narcissist. Like I whole changed my degree in college, and I swapped over to psychology, and I did a PowerPoint on narcissists when it came time to pick a disease. And I picked that one because I actually have like personal experience dealing with it firsthand. It's not just I'm not textbooking you to death. I live with this person. Like I deal with this person. I have to help and coach this person because I've done the research and I understand it, and he doesn't and he won't. So it's up to me if you either accept something or you don't, and I do because there's nothing. I mean, he didn't ask to be that way. Just like
right.
I didn't ask for, I have extreme anxiety and I have PTSD. These are both debilitating in my life. So I get it. And I didn't ask for either of those things. And they're, when I'm in the middle of an anxiety attack, there's nothing really besides my coping skills that I've learned over the years that I can necessarily do to drag myself out of it right then once it starts. Like if I feel it coming, then yes, I can try to, talk myself down and handle it that way. But there are times where it'll hit me out of nowhere and it'll go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, and there is no thinking. It's just now I'm hyperventilating. The room is spinning. Like I'm dizzy. I'm not feeling good. My stomach is hurting. Like my mind is going crazy. I can't focus. Like and there's at that point I just have to sit down and ride the wave until I'm just out of it. That's the only way I can explain it, is just ride the wave. And that's what I feel like I do with him in our relationship, because I never know which
What to
him,
expect.
like I never know which him is going to wake up. Like I never know. Like right now, he woke up a little bit after I did, and I haven't spoken to him yet, besides, to get a lighter from him and tell him I'm on an important phone call. But besides that, like, he's shown jealousy already because I'm on the phone. I'm not paying him any attention like he feels like he deserves first thing in the morning. And I feel like it could be the start of a crappy day. But we'll see. And when I do see, I'll ride the wave and show him as much understanding and caring as I can and hope for the best. I feel like that's a lot of what my life has turned into, is just hope for the best.
Yeah. I found the book that I was referring to, and it's called Narcissist, A Complete Guide to Dealing with a Range of Narcissistic Personalities and Survive Narcissistic Relationships by Victor Murphy. I haven't finished reading it. I just started reading it the other day. I do remember one of the things that I read said something about, in order to stay with somebody like that, you do have to understand that this is not, it's who they are, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to, because if you don't, like, a lot of people that throw the word around, and I'm part of, groups on Facebook that are about this or versed towards this, and a lot of people are not educated on it at all. They think like just any and every little thing to, I guess, push off on something. They choose that when it's really not that. But you can't tell these people that. Like, you can't. There's just no telling them anything, no matter how educated you are on it. But you're right. You do have to. It's imperative, if you're going to make it work and make it last, that you show compassion and understanding, just like you would to a schizophrenic or a manic or something along those lines. Other things that, the person suffering really can't control.
Right. And I know part of this disorder is that they don't see anything wrong with them.
Most don't. I mean, I guess it just depends on the person.
Yeah, because you said your fiance does see some things.
Yes.
He's aware.
He doesn't agree with the diagnosis, but he does see traits, which is a major step for that, at least, because, most don't. Everyone else is the problem.
Right, exactly. I commend you for working so hard to save your relationship. And like I said, I'm not about to tell you that you're stupid.
Thank you.
At all. I know that I've been in relationships before that even myself, I didn't understand why I put up with certain things. And you obviously love him, and you're obviously trying to get a better understanding of his personality disorder and be able to cope with that. I know one thing you mentioned was having anxiety. I read a book one time, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, and she was able to stop having panic attacks by counting backwards from 5 to 0 and then refocusing her thoughts. And I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but that may be something that would help you with the anxiety as well. I'm aware of that, but it doesn't necessarily help me, because there's times where, like, I don't see it coming and it just, like, hits me. And then by that point, it's too hard to go back.
Yeah, there's no, like, you can't focus your brain to count backwards, but, like, I'll do, and it's the same thing I tell my fiance when he gets anxiety, like, look around the room and find 5 colors or 5 textures or 5 smells. Or that was one of the things I've learned over the years of dealing with anxiety was that one. So if I can get my brain to do it, that helps a lot. Right. Yeah, change your focus, basically. Yeah. I mean, if you can refocus, that's always ideal, especially in that type of situation. But I try to do that. See, he has very bad anxiety and PTSD also. So like I said, it's not just that he struggles with. So, like, I can talk him off of a ledge when he's full-blown anxiety, but, like, when I am, he's looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, he doesn't know what to do. And he hasn't got to the point where he can recognize, feel, and know, I guess, when it's coming. His just like hit him, and then it's he has chest pain and he can't breathe and he feels like his throat's closing up, and his is a little different than mine. Also, he is a major hypochondriac and a drama queen. Like, he over exaggerates everything. So I never know, like, when he says he's feeling like this, I never know, like, okay, how bad is it really right now? Like, do you really feel like your throat's closing? Do you really feel like you can't breathe? And I'll have to remind him, like, you're talking, so you're breathing. You're fine. Like, calm down, breathe, just breathe. Focus on breathing. Don't focus on anything else. Stop talking. Like, just breathe. Now, when I get like that, there is no talking. And if I were to, it would probably come out just random jumbled words, because that's what's in my brain. It's like literally somebody put my brain on shuffle, and I can't. It's almost like standing in a vortex, almost like where everything's just like whizzing past you, but you can't see what it is. It's just blurry, and it's whizzing past you, and nothing makes sense at that point, and it's just chaos. It's chaos in your mind, and it sucks because I won't take. They prescribed me so many things for so many different things, and I won't take any of it. I won't. I refuse. Like, they tried to put me on. Well, they did when I was younger. They put me on Xanax, and it created an addiction that I fought for 7 years. And even to this day, it's a struggle. It almost killed me twice. Once from overdosing and once from withdrawing. I had a seizure. And I had a seizure, and I was alone, and I fell, and I cracked my head on the bathtub. So my mom found me at 15 years old in a pool of my own blood, and she thought I was dead. She didn't know how long I had been there, and that was from trying to get off of what these doctors told me would make me better. I was young.
Right.
I was young. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew is that my mom fed me a pill every day that made me sleepy.
Right. I'm glad you addressed that, because I was going to ask you if your anxiety was a result of his being unfaithful and the stepchild and all that. But you answered that. You've had anxiety for a while. Yeah.
But it does affect it tremendously, actually. Like, when you deal with stuff like that, you get like triggered. So certain places or certain vehicle types or just anything can be a trigger when you deal with stuff like that. When it comes to me and him, like, certain places that I know, like, they've gone together is a trigger. For the longest, I would have, like, when it was new and fresh, I would get anxiety not knowing, like, great, are we going to go to Publix and I'm going to run into this girl? Like, is that how this is going to go? Because I've run into her quite a bit. And at that point, my emotions take control and I act like a psycho.
Right.
So that causes anxiety, because it's like any given day, I can, go to the grocery store and see this person and snap and end up in jail. Because I've had conversations with this woman. It's not like, she's not aware of me or our situation. Like, we've had, sympathetic on her end conversation where, this behavior, I didn't know that. He was lying to me. He didn't tell me this. He told me X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 not telling her the truth. And I'm like, no, it's not the case at all. So like with the narcissism and the manipulation, and he takes advantage of, like, she's a very insecure person because of her weight, and he knows this. So he plays on that to get what he wants. And what he wants at the moment is just someone to... His explanation to me was he doesn't have to please her. There's no pressure. They can have sex and he can finish in 30 seconds and he doesn't care how she feels. With me, he says that I'm more pressure because he wants to please me. He wants me to finish also. And, he wants a better experience for me. And these others, doesn't care. They don't matter. He can finish and leave and not talk to him for another year or two until the next time things go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, with me, it's different.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this before we wrap up. How does the stepchild, stepdaughter interact with you and your kids?
My children are absolutely obsessed. She's been there since the
beginning.
Yeah, and we had 50-50 custody before my children were born. Mm-hmm. So we were, getting her used to a schedule and whatnot, and then the children were born. But her world has a lot of chaos in it, just because, like, you know, she went from being an only child for 5 years or 4 years, she was an only child, to now I'm pregnant at the same time as her mom. So now she just gained 2 siblings within 3 months. And then I got pregnant immediately. Like, my son, my firstborn was 3 months old when I got pregnant with my second. My kids are 13 months apart. So then she went to that. And then her mom had another baby shortly after. So, like, she went from, you know, being the only child and only being with her mom to now she has 2 homes and she has 5 siblings, and she also has a stepsister. Like, it was just a lot of chaos brought to her world in a very short amount of time. And I show understanding to that because she didn't want brothers. She only wanted sisters. So in the beginning, she would do things to intentionally hurt my children. Like, she would pinch their arms until they screamed, or dig her nails into their leg, or when my youngest was learning to walk, she would yank things that he was holding on to so that he would fall. So that was a battle in itself, because, you know, it's hard to not love, because I always love her no matter what. But it's hard to like and show compassion to a child that's hurting you.
If the stepdaughter's being mean to you, then either remove yourself from the situation, or you said he doesn't notice it until you bring it up, right?
Even sometimes after I bring it up, he doesn't see it that way. Like, he doesn't see manipulation as manipulation, because he's a manipulator. So to him, those behaviors and those actions are completely normal, and what she's doing is normal, and we're not normal because we're not like that. So, I mean, like, when she comes, it does cause me anxiety, because I know that him and I are going to fight about something that has to do with her, or her behavior, or her action. So, like, on our days, I'm a complete wreck until I know, okay, how's it going to go today? Is it going to be, she going to listen? Like, this is going to be an adjustment with us moving in together again, because she's going to be around a lot more. She wasn't around me barely at all the whole time we were split up, because she was barely around him. And that's why I go back to him having resentment towards her. Like, I had to force him, and his mom can co-sign this. We had to force him to even attempt to be a father. And then, like, you see them together, and they don't have a bond, and you can tell. And it's sad, because, you know, she's stuck in the middle. She didn't ask for you guys to be irresponsible. You know what I mean? And she has a stepdad that's a lot. They have, I feel, a deeper connection than what her real dad and her have. And it's sad, because he uses projection a lot to put that off on me or someone else.
Right. Again, I want to thank you very much, Crazy Stepmom. No, let's clarify. You came up with that name, not me. I'm not calling you crazy because you stayed.
I did that.
But thank you for sharing your story. I know that it's not easy, because you are judged for, I'm not going to say putting up with it, but for trying to make things work. Mm-hmm. And I don't want you to feel that way. And I'm sure that there are several people, many, many people, as a matter of fact, that will get some help from listening to this podcast and you sharing your story. So again, I really thank you for taking the time to talk to me about this.
Thank you for having me. I hope that it does help someone, and I hope that they can look past the judgments and use their own brain and do what they really want to do, instead of listening to leave him or whatever else people come out with.
Well, you have to do what's best for you, and nobody knows that but you.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So, again, thank you very much, and I hope that things continue to get better.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we look forward to having some interaction with you in the Nacho Kids Facebook group.
For sure. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. It's easy for us to judge the crazy stepmom and say, you need to leave that man, or what are you thinking? But before you do that, think about things that have happened in your life where people have probably said the same thing to you.
Mm-hmm. If you're in a blended family and you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already hit that a few times where people look at you like, what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. You've probably woke up and looked in the mirror and thought, what are you thinking?
Well, and that's one reason that I don't like people saying in my Facebook group, oh, just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's abuse, or most of the time I would say infidelity, don't tell somebody to leave. But the thing is, the crazy stepmom knows what's going on. She's not in denial. She's not oblivious to what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
She understands that, or not that she understands, she is aware that her significant other has issues.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is being a narcissist.
Okay.
And she still chooses to be in a relationship with him because she truly loves him and believes that he is her soulmate.
Okay.
But let's talk about narcissism real fast.
All right.
As we mentioned during the podcast, people are quick to throw that word around.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people are quick to throw around the word bipolar.
Why you look at me when you say that?
And just because somebody is quote, quote, selfish
Mm-hmm.
does not mean they're a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
There are criteria to be classified or diagnosed as a narcissist. So don't be so quick to say that somebody is. I did find it interesting that she brought that up, and I just happened to be reading that book about narcissism at the same time. So I was able to read off the things that qualify you as a narcissist.
Okay. So is your past relationships fit?
One of them. And you know which one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what about this one?
Are you a narcissist?
I'm asking you. You went through the little book. I
No.
know I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Did I say that with enough confidence? No, I know you're not. No, not at all. I had enough of that past relationship that if you would have exhibited more than one narcissistic action when we were dating, I'd have ended it. There was one thing, but I don't think that was a narcissistic action.
That I did?
Yeah.
What was that?
Let's not talk about it. It's in
while,
the past.
while we were dating?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no telling what was going on then. There was probably some narcissistic stuff happening.
Sometimes it's best not to rehash things, people.
I was single. What do single people do? They narcissist.
Single people do not narcissist.
Yeah, I'm using it as a verb.
I know. Like nachoing.
Yeah. Anyway.
So don't be so quick to judge the crazy stepmom. She is still having issues from the infidelity, and she always will. I have no doubt. She will always have issues.
Yeah.
Because of what he's chosen to do. However, she chooses to stay in that relationship because that's what she wants. She wants to be with him.
Maybe the good outweighs the bad.
Right. Well, I know this guy. It was in high school, and he cheated on his girlfriend all the time. Everybody knew it, but she just wouldn't believe it. I mean, like somebody could have came up with some Polaroids, and this is before you could, Photoshop stuff. And she'd be like, no, that ain't him. Even though his name's tattooed on his butt, that ain't him. Yeah, that's how she was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I did find out later he had a brain tumor and died. So that may have been why he was that way.
Maybe.
You never know.
No.
Some people just cannot be loyal to one person.
Have you ever seen the thing on TV about some kind of, it's actually a brain condition where people do crazy stuff like that? Like they
cheat.
They just like run off with anybody. Like literally they'll meet somebody at a grocery store and
start tonguing them down.
But I remember seeing that on the news where this woman was like that. And her husband's, they were in some major counseling, but her husband stays with her because, and she's like, she was diagnosed with having this. It wasn't like they just made it up. And I was like, that is crazy.
I remember watching that. It was like 2020 or Dateline or something.
Yeah. And like she was like crying and upset about it. Like, I don't want to do this and I can't.
Right. And it was almost like she couldn't believe she did it.
Right. Yeah. It was crazy.
Like she almost had blackout spells or something.
Mm-hmm. I was like, how horrible. Really? On both ends. Horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, that happened to me once.
What happened to you, David?
Nothing. Carry on.
No. Go ahead.
No, nothing.
Go ahead. This is only the third take of this. Go ahead.
I'm good. Keep going.
No, you won't let me do that. You can't do it either.
What?
Say what you're going to say. What happened to you once?
I had this thing where I lost consciousness, and the next thing you know, I was. What? What are you looking at me like that for? Next thing I know, I was married with you. It's like, what happened? What happened? I was supposed to go out with you and we were supposed to just be friends playing dominoes. And next thing you know, I'm in a blended family relationship. It was crazy. I don't know what happened. I blacked out.
Y'all see what I struggle with. It's a daily struggle. All right. So David, let's talk about something. I know that you're not the crazy stepmom and I'm not the crazy stepmom, but when I had my proof that someone cheated on me, I was done. Like, there's no, you ain't talking to me about it. I don't need you to talk to me about it. There's no Lori getting over it. There's no understanding. There's nothing. I'm done. DONE. Hasta la pasta. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You found out that your ex was cheating,
mm-hmm.
and you stayed.
Mm-hmm. The first time.
That you know of. That was the first time.
Yeah.
And you stayed because of?
I stayed because, I stayed because of the kids. And some people were like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But they were super young, and I didn't want them to be in a relationship with me where they were only seeing me every other weekend or something like that.
So it's not really that you stayed for the kids as much as you stayed for you to be able to have a relationship with your kids all the time instead of 50-50.
Well, I felt
whatever.
like I stayed for the kids so that they would have a dad in their life full time and not every other weekend.
Right.
So I still, to this day, you will not convince me that I didn't make the best choice for my family. Well,
and you were never a every other weekend dad anyway.
No, I wasn't. And, if when I look back on it, some people look back and go, well, I wish I'd have done it differently. When I look back on it, as far as the kids are concerned, I don't feel like I should have done anything differently. I think I did it exactly the way it worked out best.
Well, do you wish you would have stayed the second time that she cheated?
No. There's so many things. If I were to take a pros and cons, look at what if I'd left then, and then what if I, or I did leave later the second time. There's so many things that could have worked against me the first time. And I think that everybody would have had a much harder time because of other factors. And so I still think I made the right choice. And even though it still eventually ended up happening, it was 3 years or so after the first time I caught her. So, but my kids were older then. If it had happened the first time, the triplets would have been like 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, how effective are you as a dad if your full-time parenting responsibilities was between the ages of 1 and 3? I mean, it just wouldn't have been there.
Right.
So, I ended up getting them a lot more than I thought I would have. But initially, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Yeah, because most dads back then only got every other weekend and a week here and there.
So the first time it happened, I was really struggling with, I cannot see my kids every other weekend. I cannot do that. Mm-hmm. And if I have to live in this to see them every day, then I will. And that's what I did. And the second time it was, okay, I cannot continue down this path. It is not, they're getting older and it's not going to be healthy for them to see a relationship. They're going to base their future relationships off what they see me and their mom like. And I didn't want them to be that because the relationship was gone.
We know of 2 of your kids that their significant others, if you want to call them that because they were young, cheated on them. Mm-hmm. And they continued to want a relationship with that person. Mm-hmm. And I never understood that. But I wonder if it's because I think they know, that you stayed with their mom the first time. It's almost like, remember that one stepkid said, well, it's not like she stole from me. And I'm like, dude, she did more than steal from you.
It's hard to say. Because there's a lot of people that, especially their age, where things like that happen. I think you have to be older. Not have to be, but most time you're older and you kind of have more resolve and you kind of have that line in the sand. I think when you're younger, I don't think you have it as much. But I stayed because I thought it was the best thing.
Right.
At the time.
Whereas for me, there's no way that I feel like mentally that I could get over that.
Oh, I didn't get over it. There was no getting over it at all. I wasn't staying because, I love her and I want to stay because of that. It was none of that at all. It had me staying had nothing to do with her.
And maybe what happens is, for me, I just considered that when somebody cheated, they didn't love me. And that was the end.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the crazy stepmom, she feels that he loves her. He just has some issues.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yep.
Everybody has a lot of complexity. That's for sure.
Yep. I wish her the best. And I know several people that have been married.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody cheated and they worked through it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And all the power to those people, but I'm not one of them.
Yep. Some can do it and some can't.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Lori, you better not cheat on me.
David, you better not cheat on me.
I ain't got no desire. Not near one.
Not near one.
Nope.
Oh, I'm supposed to say that too? I ain't got no desire. Not near one.
Yeah, you don't realize that these people are flirting with you, though.
See, you want to go back on this subject. I am not redoing this again.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, look, we got to tell people what we're talking about. I am quite aware when people are flirting with me.
Okay.
You are the one that's like, no, she's just being nice. Or, no, I'm just a good listener. Or, no, I'm just smart and she needs my business advice. But here's what happens is when he's on the phone with this little hoochie and he comes in the door and she realizes he's home, she got to go.
Yeah, because I'm home.
Yeah, but she'll talk to you all day long.
Oh, come on.
Now, this little hoochie, we'll go ahead and tell you. I kept telling David, she a little hoochie. She crossing that line. She about to kick Lori into redneck mode. And David had an out-of-town conference that he was speaking at, and she went. And I get a phone call from David one night. Ironically, not surprisingly, but ironically, I knew something was wrong. I knew. I had that gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, women, we just know things. Then I get this phone call, and you tell me that hoochie tried to get you to go back to her hotel room with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I handled it.
I know you did.
That's right. Stand up, clap for the man.
But if you would have, if you would have recognized that she was hitting on you or flirting with you from day one,
yeah, but
not just thought, oh,
yeah, but I can't stop every woman from flirting. But I can stop every woman from bringing me back to their hotel room.
Okay. Y'all, I'm going to have to make David a flow chart of what flirting is and what's flirting not.
Flirting's okay.
Flirting is not okay.
It can be.
Oh, we have a disagreement.
All right. Let's move on.
No, all right. We're going to have a counseling session right here at the end of this Nacho Kids
No,
podcast.
we're not.
We are. So it's okay to flirt?
I said it depends.
Okay. Oh, if you're doing it versus if I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Okay. We're going to end on that note, folks, because this could get really bad.
Because
David, you better end.
If I'm flirting,
here we go.
I know that I can flirt with somebody and a woman can be, oh, he's so funny, whatever. They don't look at me and go, oh, yeah, he's trying to get me into bed. Men, on the other hand, you flirt with them and they're like, oh, yeah, she wants some of this.
Okay, wait a minute. Think about what you just said.
I am thinking about it.
Oh, when Hoochie was talking to you,
mm-hmm.
It didn't cross your mind, oh, she's trying to get me into bed until she said, hey, want to go back to my hotel room?
No, because I'm not like an average male. I ain't looking at it going,
oh, my gosh, y'all, I got to go. I'm about to either throw up or throw something. I don't know which.
I'm not looking at it going, oh, yeah, she wants me. And even if she does, ain't getting none of the way.
Okay. Thanks for listening. This is our last podcast of 2019.
And we ended on crazy.
We ended on crazy. On David's crazy.
All right, we'll see y'all next year.
If y'all have any comments to let David know what's considered flirting and inappropriate, please let him know.
Yeah, flirt with me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you when you cross the line. I wish I could see her face right now. That's hilarious.
No, y'all don't want to see my face right now.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode. I'm going to cut this off and run. We'll see y'all next year.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.